all of us browse our phones, right? Sometimes for a reason and sometimes without any reason. If you are doing it without any reason, I'll give you some prompts to Google upon. Please Google about Fashion Revolution. Please Google about ethical fashion. Please Google about what happened in Dhaka in the Rana Plaza. Please Google about how the garment workers are being treated in the fashion industry. And here in studio, we have the country coordinator of Fashion Revolution today. And if you are not Googling all these things, listen to the episode today so that you can know everything about ethical fashion. I'm so happy to welcome Araceli here, who is a very good friend, founder of Goshopia, and the country coordinator of Fashion Revolution. Hello.
Thank you so much, Vino. Thanks so much. I'm so happy to be here today.
It's amazing to see you as always.
It's always great to be together.
So first, I would want to start with your journey into fashion.
Okay.
I know that you're from Spain, but the viewers want to know more about your journey, please.
So by profession, I'm really project manager. That most people don't know. So I was a construction girl, building hotels and universities around the world. And it's a very man-dominated sector, right? So I had on the side my other passion, which was fashion writing. So I had my blogs, and that eventually turned into kind of like a online magazine, because I wanted to give it more like, like not about me, but more about what I was discovering. And one day I got invited to this event. When you have a magazine or you are a blogger, you used to get invited to everything, right? So I get this one and it's, we're going to be starting Fashion Revolution, a UAE chapter. And yeah, we just want to share some news with you. And I thought, well, that's actually good. Let me go and learn, because fashion wasn't one of my passions. And I always kept it separate from my day job. And for me, it was fun. It was networking. It was, everything. Like, it's all the creativity that maybe you cannot put in the job when you have to be working with numbers and you need to be working with teams and stuff. And so there I go to that first meeting of Fashion Revolution UAE, and that's how it kind of like, I was already in the world of fashion because even the name of the magazine is all related to fashion. I used to have also a podcast about fashion. Yeah, that's how it kind of like started, really. It has been a long time kind of like sidekick for me, and eventually became even a business, so yeah.
Oh, lovely. That's amazing. I think somehow destiny will drive you to the right path.
I do think so. I do believe in all these people you find on your way that somehow open the doors to new things that you didn't know, and that suddenly they become so important in your life. And that's kind of like how it all started. Everything goes hand in hand in my journey, one way or another.
Perfect. Yeah. And tell us about Fashion Revolution. What is Fashion Revolution as an organization, and what is the work that you guys do in Fashion Revolution? Please enlighten us.
So Fashion Revolution is it's kind of like an international organization. It's a movement. And we organize ourselves in kind of like country chapters. Head office or headquarters kind of thing is in UK. And the rest of the countries we kind of like coordinate ourselves within the global network, what we call the global network, right? The movement started when the Rana Plaza collapse happened in Bangladesh in 2013. For people that may not know, this was a very terrible accident, but it was an accident that it was really prone to happen, and it keeps on happening, but it's not anymore in the news. This is the thing. So in terms of industrial accidents in Bangladesh, it's very tough. It's one of the biggest producers in terms of fashion all around the world, but they have not all the conditions maybe to protect the workers, not only in terms of salary, but also in terms of safety. And what happened 10 years ago, well, not, or 10, 11 already, in 2013, was the Rana Plaza was kind of like a factory, and they built more floors than what the building could really hold. And this was due because the owners of the factory, they were getting a lot of orders, they were working with fast fashion brands, and they knew the only way really to make a little bit of money was actually increasing production, right? And so they were like hiring more people, not really paying attention to the premises themselves. There were huge cracks on the walls, and the workers were scared even to go to work. On top of that, they had things that were really like, when you know about that from our comfortable seats, you know, in the first world, you see like, wow, like they had like, they're kind of like cage. They had like doors. They are not allowed to go to the bathroom unless they've finished their quota. This kind of things, right? This is really bad. On top of that, they're not getting paid very well, not getting paid much. So it's really like a slavery, what they were going through. The previous days, well, as I say, like this factory had more people, more floors. They built the levels and levels. They put heavy machinery. At the end of the day, you know, fashion requires a big machinery, heavy. And then if you put a lot of people, each one of them with an industrial machine, it's heavy, right? And if you don't have the proper construction, it will eventually collapse, which is what happened. And it killed lots of thousands of people. Many people got injured because the whole thing collapsed. What struck me was the fact that when they were trying to get the people out, the bodies out of the rubble, all these brands that you can find in all the malls here and everywhere were coming up. So they were building for these huge, massive, fast fashion brands. They were paying them too little to even have the proper security for them not to die while they were working, you know? So that really struck a chord. Our founders, Carrie Summers, Ursula Castro, put together kind of like, this cannot happen. We shouldn't allow this to happen. Now we know it happened. Now we should really stop. We need to make brands accountable. We need to make sure they take care of the workers the way they should, because they are humans, you know? The fact that the supply chain is so far away from us kind of like make us feel like, oh, I just bought this and that's it. No, there is humans behind. Fashion is a very labor-intensive industry. It's not done by a machine alone. No, it's someone actually producing, stitching, doing. Everything is going through hands. There's a lot of hands in every piece of clothes that we are wearing. And yeah, that was kind of like the wake-up call for the initiators of the movement. And I'm very happy and proud that I've been part of all that almost from the beginning.
So nice. I think this Rana Plaza incident has struck a chord with many in the world, and I'm one of them. I saw a documentary about it, and that is how I transformed into a sustainable fashion designer.
I think it's the true cost of fashion. Yeah. I recommend everybody to see this movie. When you watch this movie, you really get to see, okay, this is the conditions that they were living. This is what happened. Do you want really to be part of that? Or you want actually a different fashion? Because at the end of the day, the fast fashion brands, they tend to be cheaper. But some of them not necessarily are cheaper. It's a matter of margin and how much, where you want to position your branding. The cost of creating the fashion itself is kind of like similar, right? And some people would still prefer to buy that against slow fashion, sustainable fashion makers. I don't get it. I don't understand that really. I want my clothes to represent my values too, not only my style. I'm complex, I'm human, but in that humanity there is heart, and I definitely want that to show in my clothes too, and my choices and the choices that I do.
Recently, I was talking to a bunch of school children about, as usual, I go speak in places about sustainability and sustainable fashion. So one of the kids asked me, like, I have read that people have been wearing clothes from Egyptian period, from Indus Valley civilization. That was not a problem then. And today you are coming and asking us not to buy more. How come it became a problem now, was the question. So it would be nice if you could tell us how big the problem is, the scale of fashion pollution.
This is the thing. Fashion, it was not an issue before. In the times when my mother was young, there was not this issue in reality. People tend to have better clothes, normally made to their body size. I don't know if you guys remember, but when we were little, we used still to go and get the measure, and the seamstress will do the clothes for us. If not, the grandmas and the aunties that were all very handy. There was a philosophy of hand-me-downs. You will get the things from your cousins or your neighbor if it was more or less the same age and stuff. There were not the amount of production back then that there is now. So everything was kind of like absorbed within the system, because nature is wise. You may pollute a little bit and still can take it and regenerate. But if you do too much, there is a moment when there is no possible regeneration anymore. And we are at the stage, we are producing far too much. Not only far too much to what Mother Earth can take, but also what we can consume. We are living right now one of the moments where I think there is overconsumption in every aspect of our lives, if you ask me. And yet, still, we have the landfills full of clothes, many of them really never been on the shop floor. We are producing too much, really. We really need to slow down. And I think that's one of the keys, really. We need to degrowth this industry. We need to find a way to make our clients happy, but take care really of the resources that we are using. Make sure there is a circularity in the system, so you can give it to your cousin. Let's go back to the hand-me-downs, right? Or you can donate it to someone else, or you can do some things with that old shirt you no longer use it. You can still do things with it, but just let's make sure that it doesn't go to waste, because the effort is bigger than what people assume. And I think this is because we are so far from the supply chain itself. Have you ever thought, for example, how much effort or struggle the farmer goes into when they are producing the linen or the cotton? Because the supply chain starts that early, really. Like, for example, in the case of cotton is a super thirsty crop, and it's all over, because the organic cotton, they don't use pesticides, for example, but the one that is all over is actually the conventional cotton, and it's full of pesticides. That farmer that is deciding, I'm going to go with cotton, is going to have to put those fertilizers and pesticides in his crops. It's going to probably get part of it, it's going to breathe that, it's going to be touching that. Then that will also go into the water, right? When they're irrigating, all that goes into the soil. Eventually you are polluting the soil, you're polluting the water, and then those clothes, that fiber that eventually becomes a piece of cloth for you, has a little bit of that chemical still on, right? Add it if you are dyeing it, extra chemicals, right? But just from the production already, there is already, that's why I think we need really to take into account the whole supply chain. Don't disengage from it. It is very important. It is how things are being made. When we learn all this, you feel more attached to your clothes, because you see the real value and the real effort that there is in there. And I think that's very important, really, that we get to our clothes and we appreciate them.
Now people are very conscious about what they eat.
Yeah.
Right?
Clean food.
Yeah, clean food. I think we all have to be conscious about clean clothing also.
I think we need to be conscious, really, about everything, every aspect of our lives. The fact that, my body is a temple, and I want to eat only foods that are good for me. I'm not going to have fast food. I'm not going to have processed food. Is fantastic. It is really good. But it's the same what you're wearing, what you are buying, how you live, how you move from point A to point B, the transportation, all this in reality. And you don't need to get super hippie and go to live in the middle of the Himalayas. And no, in reality, it's a matter of making the wise decisions to what you want in your life. Small decisions can go a long way because they become incremental. And I think that's super important, how a little change in one person can make a ripple effect. And it's incremental at the end of the day. We are far from being able to solve the problem at the moment. Pollution is huge. It's not only on the overproduction, it's on the amount of waste. The microplastic is another issue also we have, because we're using too many synthetics, and the synthetics will release the microplastics. So in terms of pollution, we're really bad. Fashion is measured to be 10% of the global emissions in the world right now. 10%. It's not even one of the major industries or the ones that you think is more pollutant, right? We always think of oil and gas. Fashion is they're hand in hand. And I think this is very important, really, that we become aware and we are able to make better decisions, really.
When we talk about the values and when we talk about the supply chain and supporting something and all those things, no, unfortunately, this world, the society, right, it kind of associates a pride with or judges the other people from what they are wearing, the brands they own.
Oh yeah, status.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so when you say repeat your clothing and when you say buy less, it kind of hurts their ego to wear the same thing again and again to meet the same set of friends. And what do you think about it? How to wear sustainable clothing with,
I think,
proudly?
I think we need to change the narrative. Like, I remember at that one event that I was wearing something that I wore on a previous event. I love my clothes, so I'm very proud. You will see me over and over with them. So they were like, oh, you wore this already. I know this dress. And I say, yes. Why do you bring it again? It's like, because I have a washing machine. I do. I wash my clothes. You know what I mean? The clothes are not just something that you use and throw away. I chose wisely. I invest in quality. I can wear them. Probably my daughter will be able to wear them when she is of my size, you know? So it is I think we really need to change the narrative of making constant change. I think there is one hashtag is proud outfit repeater. We have to start talking more about this. The fact that I love these clothes so much.
And we used to do it. We used to do it very much.
And there's nothing to be ashamed.
And what happened suddenly? Why no one is repeating? I mean,
the Instagram is the pressure, is peer pressure. Yeah. Everybody wants to be, having this perfect lives where you are living in such abundance that, you have your Lambo at the door, and even if it's all fake. I think really we need to go back to who we are really and stop all this noise.
Very true. And when we speak about, buying less and having fast fashion stores everywhere, people buying and not repeating and all those things, but how exactly to identify sustainable clothing? Because even every fast fashion brand has a rack, claims to be sustainable, and it's not like food that you taste and say this is organic cotton or no.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How do you find out that something is authentically sustainable?
Well, first of all, I really avoid fast fashion like the plague, in my case. I mean, it just goes with my values. I rather invest in quality. I had the past experience where I see the clothes are not really well stitched, for example. But this is also, again, because we are not in touch with what it means to be properly stitched. We have lost a sense of quality, and we just want a new trendy design to pop up, and that's it. But when you go to the fast fashion shops and you see the quality of the stitching, most of the times it's not there. It's very fast. The poor people that are working in those supply chains, they are basically have quotas. They are specialized only on doing one maybe at the time, and that's it. Jump, and then 500,000 million times later, they start doing a sleeve or something. I think when you put love into what you're doing, you can put quality into it. And I think right now quality is not recognized because we really lost touch of it. I think that's a shame, really. And then also the materials. You go there and the amount of synthetic materials or mix polycottons or whatever that is there is huge. I really avoid synthetics too because of the microplastic situation. So at the end of the day, you end up wearing things that are organic or linen or things that are natural that to me are much better in terms. In fashion, there is a huge amount of textiles coming up that are really amazing. We don't really need the synthetics anymore. This is the narrative. Oh, I bought this in Chinese brand. Beep. Put the bling. Beep. I brought this in the... It's so cheap. I got like 10, 12 pieces, and then you see them all is wonky. There's not the way, unless you're an octopus, that the dress is gonna fit you nicely. The color is not what was supposed to be. The material, how it look on the pictures, has nothing to do with what you get. You don't learn your lessons. You keep on buying from these people. You are actually feeding the wrong wolf, in my opinion. So I really don't go anywhere there. I just really prefer to invest and shop what I need and invest in people that I know what they're doing.
Let's dive deep into the vocabulary of the world of sustainable fashion. You mentioned a lot about microplastics and about wearing polyester. Can you please explain what is this microplastic pollution?
You see, when you have two fibers and when you're washing them, even when you're wearing them, there is some fibers that will break and will come out. If it's a natural fiber, like a cotton or a linen, it's natural, so eventually will biodegrade. What happens if it's a synthetic? It's plastic. It won't biodegrade. The difference is that when you have a bottle of water, for example, and it's floating in the ocean, you're able to pick it up because you can see. You pick it up and then you recycle or do something with it, right? But when it's too small to be picked up, and we are talking, for example, from our washing machines, when every time you do washing, microplastics from all your yoga pants and whatever will be there, and they will be going down the drain with the water. At the moment, there is not a waste management system in place to be able to catch all those microplastics. So everything goes down the drain to the waste management plant. They segregate, treat the water, and then eventually gets released maybe to a river or the ocean. All that is released into, again, the river, for example, the fishes will not know what that is. For them, it looks like actually some kind of food floating there, And actually also because plastic tends to you have seen when you see the old bottles that have been floating, they have this kind of like green thing around because they kind of like attract this kind of thing, right? So for them, it's like, it looks like food. They'll go, grab it, eat it. Eventually, that is plastic in their stomachs. They cannot digest that. They cannot take it out. So eventually, it just stays there. And there's a moment when the fish thinks that is being nourished because he's eating, but in reality there's malnutrition and they end up dying. And the bellies are full of plastic. There has been some sightings of whales, big whales, and they were stranded on the beach. And when they were trying to help them, they realized their bellies were full of, in this case, not microplastic necessarily because the size of the fish is much bigger, but basically they had like bottles and they had all sort of plastic on the bellies. They were not able to process it. They end up dying. They had no energy to function as a body, so they were dying. This is happening whatever scale with microplastics, smaller fish, also big whales. And eventually they say that we are eating now once a month, we're eating the amount, if you are pescatarian, you're eating the amount of a credit card in terms of plastic. To me, that's a lot of plastic.
In the name of fashion, what are all we are doing?
Yeah, in the name of progress, I guess, like evolution, we want to, I don't know. Honestly, there's some things that sustainability is about common sense. Do you really, really need a straw? No, you don't. What happened with your lips? What happened? You don't have an issue with your teeth. What happened? Just drink from the glass. I don't know. These kind of things really is something that is so easy to avoid. And
just because the straws were invented, they're used.
I mean, if you have some medical condition, you may need them. They're good, but I don't think we need really to use them at a massive scale. That's the thing, Same as plastic. Plastic is not all evil in reality. The uses of plastic in medicine, that thank God we have plastic, really. We avoided a lot of infections and, thanks to plastic. But it has a space for single-use plastic in medicine where the pros and the cons, they balance out. But just for the sake of it, I think we really need to do something with the single plastic.
For sure. And please tell us about what is ethical fashion.
There's always this kind of confusion between what is sustainable fashion, what is ethical fashion. In reality, they are very much related. Let's say that both want the same thing, which is the well-being of Earth, but they focus maybe on different angles of it. The sustainability maybe focus more on the impacts on the environment. So then we want to reduce the carbon footprint. The processes have to be more efficient so that there is less waste. Try to use dyes that are natural so that there are not chemicals on the supply chain that end up on your skin or impacting the farmer's life, right? Or the people that are doing the dyes themselves, because all this is a very manual process. I know people think still that it's something that you magically touch and the fabric gets colored. No, it's still pretty manual. Ethical fashion focuses on the ethical, on the people and the beings behind it, right? So human beings and also animals. In the case of the animals, avoid, try to go with cruelty-free. For example, if it's a beauty product, no animal testing. If it's human, then we want them to be paid fair wages. We want them to have dignity in their work. They don't need to risk their lives to go for you to have a cheap T-shirt. It shouldn't be like that. So it's kind of like the angles, but all together is really for me what it makes sustainability, because you cannot understand one thing without the other, because we are part of the system, we're part of the ecosystem. You cannot understand being only sustainable without being ethical. You cannot really do only ethicals without actually trying really to improve the environmental impact. So that's why kind of like it goes really together. Maybe sustainability is kind of like a broader angle to it, but we have different pillars inside, and definitely ethics has to be there.
End customer, when they go to a shop, most of the shops now claim to be sustainable, and they have a green leaf kind of icon and cardboard branding saying they have a sustainable line. Right?
And then the only sustainability is actually the paper that was printed in recycled paper, but the label itself is this is sustainable. This label is sustainable. Oh dear. We found some cases that are really...
How to find out?
It is tricky, because as you said before, you cannot really buy a fabric. You don't know if it's organic cotton or if it's conventional cotton. You may know if it's polyester or not, but that's about it really. So there are certificates, and I do expect if it's a big fast fashion brand, they should have their certificates in place for their claims of being sustainable, because this is the thing. I think that consumers are getting very confused because of all the claims that the fast fashion brands are doing. Oh, we have a conscious collection, or we have, and then the marketing. I think this is the thing. Like maybe you go to the shop floor and only a small portion of it is really the conscious collection. Yet the whole mall is full of, oh, we are conscious now, we are sustainable now. As is the whole brand would be sustainable, when in reality only one collection, and normally is very little amount of pieces that they have in there.
Even that collection, they say 20% of this garment is made out of recycled polyester.
Yeah, still, what is that? You can do better. Still, we always try to not to preach. We always try to encourage them to try. Okay, you did this, it's great. You think you can do better, really, because right now the small independent fashion brands such as yours, you're doing such a big effort, but your shoulders are this big. You know what I mean? There's so much you can take.
Yeah.
But when you think of the huge conglomerates of fast fashion, that they have different brands depending on the audience and stuff, they for sure could do changes that would have a bigger impact in terms of the environment, in terms of the people, because they are really the ones that are
yes, very true. Out of all the huge 4 or 5 big fast fashion brands that are around the world, even if one of them changes their mind and try to become more sustainable, it would make a major difference in the world. And as you said, who are we fighting against? We are fighting against these giants, which is not an easy fight at all.
It is a very unbalanced fight, and that's the reason why I end up starting Goshopia, because I was feeling really, really struggling there. When after my awakening in Fashion Revolution, I wanted to definitely support only brands that I would know they are according to my values. And there were very little amount of them here in the UAE. And there was a lot of greenwashing of the big ones. I realized this is very confusing. That's why I started this online marketplace where all sustainable fashion brands, they are better, there's criteria to follow, because it's very difficult. I agree with you. When you see the piece, you just don't know. And when you go, for example, here in this market in particular, the person that is actually the shopkeeper don't know either. This is the thing. So you need to go to the people that are actually creating, designing, production. So that's what we do to facilitate people to find, because it's not easy at all. I agree with you. It is not easy. And also, there is a lack of education in general. In terms of when they are designing, there is some confusion also. Okay, I want to be a fashion designer. It is not easy to be a sustainable fashion designer. The cost, the margins are different. The way you run your business is different. It's not the same. Universities are key on this. And they're doing such a great job, really, because I work a lot with universities. I can see how the change is happening. I see how the professors and the teachers are really trying to make them see this is an option. You don't need to go the corporate way. There is another alternative. But it comes with A, B, C. And that part, maybe they need to work a little bit more. What is the reality? But I think this happened with all studies, really. They are disconnected from the reality of the job force. And I think if we get more fresh students that know how to do it, eventually it will become a standard in the industry. I'm hopeful really on this, because I think it's a effort that we all need to do.
Okay, let's consider a scenario. I'm a regular, normal being in this world, nowhere connected to fashion. I wear clothes. I already have a wardrobe full of clothes. I don't know whether they are sustainable or non-sustainable. It's full of clothes. I want to convert my wardrobe into a sustainable fashion wardrobe. What are all the things that I can do?
First of all, curate your closet, your wardrobe. See what you have in there. The most sustainable piece is the one you already own. So see what you have in there. There's some pieces that probably you have them at the end of the closet. You don't even get to see them. You don't get to wear them. Try to bring them to the front. Do a little bit of maricondo, if you ask me, and go through them. See which ones you want to keep because they make you happy, which ones you are really not using at all, and they may have a second life with someone else. Then you can donate them, or you can give it to a friend. If you want donations here in the UAE, we work very closely with Thrift for Good. You can also go to Retold. There is CIS is an app also where you can have your things there. It's kind of like Depop. There is a lot of options, really. Right now, thank God, the market is growing in there, so it's really good. There's also another one, Bazara. So there you can sell your pieces, for example, so you get a little bit of money back, and you get to clean your closet of things that are taking space, but they're not giving you any happiness. Once you have done all that, then imagine you need to start buying again. Then you have different options. You can go secondhand if you want to, or you can go supporting sustainable fashion brands such as yours. If it's an event, for example, you have a wedding, and this is the typical thing where, okay, yeah, I cannot go to all my friends' weddings with the same dress. Maybe. Why not? I've done it. But anyways, there's some people that, maybe you want to change. Go for rental, for example. And you have a brand new piece in the eyes of everyone, and it's cheap also. So you have different options. I think this is also something that we need to talk about, because this last year I got some bad news about sustainable fashion business. Mara Hoffman closed down. She was having a very hard time to keep the business up and running, but she has been spearheading this also from her ranks. I think it's really difficult to be a sustainable fashion designer nowadays. People that are maybe more eco will go straight to secondhand. We are living alone. The people that are really doing the change in the industry, which is the sustainable fashion brands, because we are small, because there is not that many big marketing budgets, yada yada. I think we really need to, if we want to drive change, we cannot go from the big fast fashion brands to secondhand, because we need to push the industry into a certain direction. We need people doing it, not only saying about it, but doing it. when I found out that Mara Hoffman was closing down, and that month I got also the news of other brands, even some of our brands that were closing down. Oh, it hurt so much. It got me really, really sad. We need to, the same as you would be investing in a luxury, we need really to invest in sustainable brands that are new sustainable fashion clothes. Nobody's going to ask you to buy them just for the sake of they are sustainable, but buy them because they are amazing. They are well built. The quality is there. The design is unique. You're not going to be like in a uniform, that happens. You go to events and you suddenly see 2-3 girls with the same dress. Everybody knows where they bought it. When you're supporting small, slow, sustainable, independent fashion designers, that's not going to happen. You're really unique. Most of the pieces are one of a kind. So I think this has to have value. I'm liking the movement that we are getting now in terms of consumerism, but it still didn't reach here, about quiet luxury. Because this market is very brandist. They rather have a big brand logo.
Moving banners.
Yeah, exactly, moving banners. Rather than actually invest in quality from an independent fashion design. I think that's really, really, we need to change that.
Well said. All the small sustainable fashion brands are struggling. It's not an easy journey.
It is not. It's not. It feels like we are fighting against Goliath. We pretty are. And in terms of being top of mind of the consumer, it's difficult to bridge the gap. You will have people that maybe will come and say, oh, I can find something similar in the fast fashion brand, insert fast fashion brand here. Yeah, everybody got the idea that is the price, the right price, when in reality it is not. There's a lot of exploitation in that price, and I think we really need to address the elephant in the room in terms of salaries, fair wage. There is lack of quality in terms of the material. There's a little bit of lack of love really for the pieces. The designs are just, even sometimes it's just copy paste from what is shown in the runways. I think we can do better.
I really hope so. And 10 years of Fashion Revolution. Tell us about the key moments and the change that you're seeing right in front of you. Is it hopeful?
I'm a very hopeful person in general. But let's see, memorable moments. You remember this campaign? Well, I think we still use it actually. Who Made My Clothes? Yeah. I think that was brilliant. That was massive. That got really, really a lot of reach and impact. We still use it. The year that we launched it here in the UAE, we asked everybody to dress the clothes inside out. So we had everybody showing their brands, Quality is normally seen on the inside of the clothes. So it was actually a way to show all these. And I think it's important to talk about the makers. That was a brilliant moment. I really enjoyed it a lot. Then during COP, for example, we were organizing events during COP, and for me it was a high, like we got to speak in Stella McCartney. Stella McCartney invited us, and I got to speak in their pavilion, and it was super nice to be part of all that. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Usually, whenever I record a podcast, it is filled with laughter and fun and, but the topic that we spoke about today, it's not a matter to laugh about. It's something very serious, and I really want everyone watching this to take it very, very, very seriously. Thank you so much for coming here and telling us everything about sustainable fashion.
Yep.
It was lovely having you as always. Thank you, Araceli.
Thank you so much, Vino. Thanks a lot. And I send everybody